Hello, beautiful people out there. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Um, Coming to you to talk to you this morning from my doorstep. I want to talk about how to cope, how to deal when you find yourself in what feels like an impossible situation. Especially when you need closure, and more often than not, that will mean that someone has left your life, someone has stepped out of communication with you, and you didn't get the opportunity to have that closure that you need. And this can be something that can cause a lot of emotional stress for us when this happens. It's something that can create a lot of trauma, and it's something that, ultimately we are responsible for within ourselves to find the healing that we need and the acceptance for what has happened, even if we never have the opportunity. And sometimes this can be, after someone passes away and we never have the opportunity to really, have that closure that we need. And yes, this can bring up a lot of pain for us when this happens. So again, I want to just talk about what you can do for yourself, how you can heal. Hey, Jennifer, how you can really dig deep, dig within, find even more self-awareness and more self-love through a situation like this. And I'm sharing this with you right now. This is something that I've been through quite a lot in my life. Separation, distance from my father, my older brother, from the father of my youngest daughter. There's a lot of this that I've experienced in my life. And actually, most recently, something that I've experienced with someone that I was in a relationship with, and they just recently ended the relationship by blocking me on Facebook, right? So a ghosting situation. So, it's something that, there's a car going by. Sorry about the noise. So this is something that I have had a lot of experience with dealing with. And, again, looking at it from a self-awareness perspective, it's like, what's the learning in there as a whole? This seems to be a common theme in my life. And ultimately, hey, Dave, what it's about and what I've really started to realize is, I think we all know that relationships between men and women over the course of, thousands and thousands of years has been quite unsettled, right? We all know that right now. We see a lot of that going on, and a lot of it is just healing from toxic relationships and healing from, really challenges in communication, challenges in understanding one another, and how, we can be quite different. And we can communicate differently and understand differently. So for me, the learning is, and again, this is, for your own self-awareness, if you're finding that this is happening a lot, the deeper learning for me is that this is something that I'm here to heal within myself and probably within others. And I've exclusively worked with women over the last few years with coaching, with the Comeback Queen, with helping women really come back from difficult situations in their lives and really heal and become more empowered and stronger through it. So I believe quite deeply that this is somewhere that my career will probably go down the road, just because it seems to be quite a common theme in my life with, a lot of situations where they seem impossible and they just end in silence. They don't end with the closure, right? So, but to bring this back and talk really specifically about, if you're going through this, if this is something that you've experienced, I really want to share ways that you can cope and ways that you can heal and find closure when the other person just won't reply, when the other person won't speak to you and won't engage in a conversation, so that, you can have that beautiful closure and healing that really we often just desire. I mean, sometimes we do have a lot of other emotions. And actually, on that topic, for any women out there that haven't yet joined the Comeback Queen and are wanting to join my free group, this is the group where we really talk a lot about, experiences that we've had through our own healing. I'm actually starting a really beautiful interview series where women within the group are going to start sharing their own stories. And I'm going to be sharing a little bit more specifically about how I've gone through my own experience just with this most recent ghosting situation. So if you are interested in joining the Comeback Queen, just leave a comment below about that and I'll pop you in the group. But back to the topic at hand. How do you cope when something like this happens? You know, when it feels very one-sided and you don't have the ability to really have that closure. So a couple of things I want to share. Of course, dealing with the emotions that come up. And really a good way to do that is to write a letter to the person. Hi, Rachel, how are you? Write a letter to the person, you know, get everything out that's on your heart, that's in your mind, everything that you weren't able to say, and really, you know, get to a place where you can be at peace with it. You know, sometimes that can take a lot of time, and that letter is really best, once you are at peace with it, best to just be burnt and released and let go. So that's one thing that you can do. Also, you know, just dealing with the emotions, finding a way that you can, you know, have an outlet for what it is that you're feeling. You know, maybe do something different that you haven't done before, something physical, you know, whether it's starting a kickboxing class where, you know, you can just sort of like beat up on something to get the emotions out. You know, there's other ways where you can just have a release, you know, other activities that you can think of that, you know, you might feel like you need to break a plate, or you might feel like you need to cry, right? Like, let those feelings out. Let yourself feel those feelings. Of course, talking it out with close friends, you know, making sure that you have the, you know, the fun that you need to be having in your life, that you're taking good care of yourself, you're looking after all of your self-care needs, you know, whether that's eating well, getting good sleep, you know, making sure that you're not overworking yourself, making sure that you're having time to just enjoy life, to just be outside and go for a walk, all of these really important things. I have my puppy here and she's getting impatient with me. Oh gosh, it's okay, not much longer. So one last thing I wanted to share about that I often do, and I have done in the past when I've been in what I consider to be an impossible situation, you know, where it just feels like there's trauma, there's unresolved emotions, there's things that were left unsaid, and there's also, you know, some confusion on our own part, you know, what really happened, what really went down, what was going on the other person's side, because we can only assume, and what we don't want to do is to start telling ourselves a story, especially one that, you know, a hurtful story that makes us feel bad, right? So we often can do that, and definitely if that's happening, you want to deal with that in the letter that you're writing. I think that's a big thing to consider. But what I wanted to share and offer is something that you may have heard of before. It's called a Healing Hawaiian Prayer. It's something that I believe it's Joe Vitale, and there's a man that he worked with in Hawaii who actually, it's a beautiful Hawaiian prayer that I think his name is Hugh Len, and it's just a really beautiful 4-sentence mantra that you can just repeat in your head, or that you can write, or that you can think as you're actually offering a blessing towards the person. You know, I think if you can get to the place where you've resolved your really intense emotions about what happened, and you know that the fact that you can't communicate with them, through this, saying these 4 phrases, you know, hand on your heart, really just feeling the feelings and the blessings that come out of this. And the 4 phrases are: I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And you just repeat that in your mind, or repeat that out loud, write it down, and with intention towards that particular person. Now, if you read up more on this, the actual name of it is the Ho'oponopono. It's very long. It's hard. I can add the spelling of it if you'd like to look it up more, but there's some really beautiful research and a beautiful study that was done with this prayer, you know, again, in a very, very seemingly impossible situation with this man. I believe he was a psychiatrist, and he was brought in to do some healing at a Hawaiian prison that was full of inmates that were all, you know, dealing with all sorts of mental health issues, and the prison itself was just overrun, and, you know, lots of pain and difficult situations. And he was able to actually create a lot of healing within that facility through this prayer, by actually just going through each of the inmates' files and saying the prayer. So anyways, it obviously, as you can see, has a lot of beautiful applications and uses, and it's just something that, you know, we're just really blessed to have, that we can use, that really takes no effort. I mean, to actually say, I'm sorry and please forgive me, that might take a little bit of effort if you're feeling, you know, some intense negative feelings towards the person, where you're, you know, feeling loss and the confusion and the sadness. But to actually get to a place where you can say that, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And what that does is it creates healing within yourself. And that's what you got to focus on. Focus on you, focus on taking care of yourself, dear human being. It's hard to be human, isn't it? And so, yeah, when you get yourself into, find yourself in a situation like that, hey, Chris, you know, these are some things that I think would just be really, really helpful for you. And I wanted to offer that. So thank you so much for watching. Lots of love to all of you. And I will be back again very, very soon. Bye.